Now, most of us have been there at some point. Even though we're in the tropics, you feel like an Eskimo on the dive boat. It doesn't seem possible because after all, it's really warm out, but it is true. But besides the discomfort factor, it's important to stay warm because being cold has shown to increase the risk of decompression illness. So let's dive into how to stay warm while you're scuba diving. And excuse the pun. First off, let's remember that we lose heat much faster when we are in water than when we are on land. So even though it might be nice and balmy out, the water is going to deplete heat from your body much faster than the air will. And according to a study from Princeton University, water conducts heat 25 times faster away from your body than air. Now, combined with multiple dives a day and maybe multiple dive days, you can see why you might get cold while you go diving. So let's get into some tips that will help you feel warmer on your next dive. Now, our first tip begins before you even get on the boat. You can gradually lose some body heat as you're maybe in an air-conditioned room or as the wind's blowing you while you're on the boat. So you want to start that dive as warm as possible so you can bring that warmth under the water with you. Wrap a towel around yourself while you're on the boat or put a jacket on. It's good sun protection anyway. So if you're covered up, you're retaining your heat and you're going to have that much more heat to lose once you do start diving. So even if you feel totally comfortable up on the surface, put something on you so you can start that dive with that much more energy and heat in your body. Now, our next tip of how to stay warm while scuba diving also begins before you even get on the boat, and that is to eat before the dive. And just like marathon runners, you can benefit from a good breakfast before you go diving. So have some carbohydrates to fuel your body before you get going. So now you don't have to feel guilty if you're having those bagels or pancakes or what have you. Just get some food in your body to fuel your body. And healthy fats, well, all fats, can also provide you with a longer lasting heat source since they are slower to burn off. So some meal planning will come in handy here to help you keep that warmth throughout the dive. And now another way to keep warm while scuba diving is to dry off between those dives. Now, it may seem counterintuitive, but you will be warmer if you take that wetsuit off in between your dives. If you're in the tropics, at least unzip that top part and bring that top part of that wetsuit down and dry yourself off if you can't bear the thought of putting a wet wetsuit back on again. Now, your body is going to lose heat as the water dries on your body. So you want to grab a towel and dry yourself off. And once you're dry, grab a towel, a jacket, a sarong or whatever, and keep that warmth inside. Now, a hat, beanie, hood, or what have you is also a good idea to cover your head in between dives to keep even more heat inside your body. And if it's windy out, if you're on your surface interval, or if you're driving to the next dive spot, you want to get out of the wind if at all possible. So try and stay covered up and under cover if there is a lot of wind. So if you are brave and you have taken your whole wetsuit off, what you can do is you can turn it inside out and then hang it up. So the inside will dry faster, and then once you do put it on, hopefully the inside of that wetsuit won't be as wet as previously, and it feels a little bit better when you put it back on. Now, of course, one of the biggest factors affecting your ability to stay warm is a wetsuit or dry suit, but that's a whole nother video. And those factors include thickness and also whether it's a full wetsuit or a shorty wetsuit. Now, there are guides as to what thickness of wetsuit you should wear for what water temperature, and I'll put one up here, but just remember it's only a guide. It is very individual because something that keeps me warm may not keep you warm and vice versa. So you have to see what works for you. But if you're on the edge, whether to go for a thinner wetsuit or a thicker wetsuit, I would advise to go for the thicker end of the wetsuit. So that way you are much more likely to be warm. And don't worry about being the person with the thickest wetsuit on the boat. Who cares? Because you're going to be there nice and toasty while other ones are probably complaining of the cold. And actually, I've read about people that wear dry suits even in the tropics. Now, I've never done it, actually never seen it, but if it works for them, why not? Just go ahead and keep yourself warm. But a word of caution here, if you are diving with a thicker neoprene suit than you usually wear, make sure you do a buoyancy check before you start your dive. And of course, in order to stay warm while you're diving, you have to make sure you are wearing a properly fitted wetsuit. Now, a wetsuit works by trapping a layer of water between your body and your wetsuit, and your body warms up that water. Because if you have a loose fitting wetsuit, that water will be constantly flushing in and out, and that colder water constantly against your body is going to lower your body temperature. So make sure you have a properly fitted wetsuit. It will do wonders to help you keep warm underwater. And one more thing to consider about your wetsuit is the age of your wetsuit, because the neoprene will become less effective at keeping you warm over time. So continually compressing those bubbles in the wetsuit, it's going to lose its effectiveness over time, so the bubbles are going to expand as much, and that's going to lower the effectiveness of that suit to keep you warm. So this isn't going to happen right away, but you want to keep that in mind. And it might be a good idea to avoid buying secondhand wetsuits, used wetsuits, because you don't know how old it was. It could look perfectly normal from the outside, but it may have lost a lot of its insulating qualities. And also another way to keep warm is just don't be afraid of layering. Layering underneath your wetsuit, maybe even over your wetsuit, can help those insulating qualities and help you keep your core temperature up. So before I get to the next video, and if you're getting value from this video, I'd really appreciate if you could like or subscribe, because that helps my small channel and helps me keep on making videos for you. And thanks in advance. Now on to our next tip of how to stay warm while scuba diving, and that is to consider a hood. Because you're also going to lose heat from your head. Any part of your body that isn't covered is going to be an area where heat will leave your body. So the less skin, including your head, that you have exposed to the water, the less heat you're going to use. You might want to consider a hood, maybe one that tucks in, so that way you even have less skin exposed to the water, thereby keeping you that much warmer. And obviously there's a myriad of different choices for a hood or a beanie to wear, and different size thickness or whatever, but whatever works for you. If you think that will help you stay warmer, go ahead and put that hoodie on and stay warm. Now another tip for staying warm while diving is to stay shallow if the dive profile allows it. Because if you have a computer that registers the water temperature, you can notice that the water can get colder as you go deeper. So if you are cold, maybe rise up to that next water level where the water is a little bit warmer. That little bit might just help you. And also following on to our tip above is that the deeper you get, the more compressed the bubbles in your wetsuit will be and the less insulating quality it will provide. So that's another reason to maybe go a little bit shallower to keep yourself warmer if you are getting cold during that dive. Now, as I said in the beginning of this video, staying warm is a safety issue because being cold increases the risk of decompression illness. So if you would like to learn about more scuba diving safety rules to keep you out of that decompression chamber, watch this video right here, where I go over 3 scuba diving safety rules for beginning divers. And I hope to see you there. In the meantime, happy and safe diving, and stay out of that chamber.